is Joey, and I will be acting as the Q&A host for today. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, one of our volunteers can help you in the back. All you need to do is just raise your hand. Once you have a question ready on the piece of paper, please have it up, and the volunteers will bring it to me. We ask that you do not ask direct questions to the speaker until after the GIC talk. There will be the opportunity to do so afterwards. All right, Trevor, wow, thank you for sharing so much about your experience. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself here, and how long have you been teaching in Korea, as well as where you teach, and what do you do for fun kind of while being here in Gwangju?
Okay, should I speak directly to you or should I? Okay. Yeah, I moved here in 2008. 2018년 같이 2011년부터 살았어요. And then I went back to Canada, and for 3 years I studied education. Then I taught on this reserve, and I just recently came back. I work at a Christian elementary school, and yeah, I exercise. I run up mountains. I try to eat healthy. Sometimes I eat terrible, and it makes me sad. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm reconnecting with some old friends. That's kind of my life here.
Okay. Can you tell us also how you found out about this opportunity, the specifics of how you found out the opportunity that was here at the reservation?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about the GIC, how I found out.
Oh.
Yeah, GIC. Reservation
Yes.
it was the first place that I applied to that was a reserve school. I applied to public schools for 3 months, and then the first reserve school I applied to, they responded. There's a couple websites that you go to. There's online databases, and I knew that maybe it was easier to get a job at a reserve, so I just applied. Found it. Yeah, it was easy.
What would you say, you talked about your intro and how there was the desire that the politician was mentioning about saying a public apology. Do you feel that Canadian government and also those that are in charge of education there, have they learned their lesson, or is that something that they're still developing or still trying to figure out at this point?
I think that apology was based on something that everybody kind of. It was obvious that the residential school system was terrible for the Aboriginal population, but they're still creating laws that remove rights from Aboriginals, remove land, like land that was promised to these people. And the government continues to make changes that are affecting the Aboriginal population in negative ways. I don't think the populations, I don't think Native Canadians are very happy with the government. And they're still trying to get the land that they were promised. Yeah, no, they haven't learned their lesson.
What would you say also is the most important part of the history of the people to preserve while teaching? Because we can teach in a way, but also respect
as a
the
white
culture.
person teaching?
As a white person, or as anyone that's teaching in this type of setting, what do you think is important to keep in mind when going to the reservation?
Right. There's a lot of things. It's well, for one, they don't really know their language. So if you can talk about if you can use their language a bit and use that language in their classrooms. I do the same thing in Korea. I think that engages that cultural aspect. It seems like one of the most basic components of culture is language. So I think using language, maybe showing some achievers from that culture, people who have been successful. Kind of promoting awareness of ability in that culture and in those communities. Like if you show some actors and you say, well, this guy came from the reserve 2 hours away, that can encourage them knowing that they're so close to where that guy came from. And also, there's not a lot of jobs in these communities, so people don't see people working. Children don't see people working. Children think that money just comes from the government, and so they don't have that motivation to work. So, yeah, that's what I would do.
How would you say that you handled after an experience like that? You showed us how a student was and how they reacted. When it first happened to you, what was the reaction afterwards? How did you handle that while also teaching? Because you had other students in the class as well.
Sometimes that was the first student of the day, or the only student of the day. So sometimes you'd have this child very unhappy, and you have to think, why are they unhappy? Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they haven't slept. Maybe they had a fight with their family. So I used a lot of puzzles, just putting puzzles together with these guys. You would be sitting across from them. But yeah, trying to direct their attention, addressing and recognizing that they're upset. If they're upset, you can't say, oh, well, just stop being upset, or like, you're not upset, you're happy. Yeah, engaging with that and redirecting it to something constructive.
Towards the end of your GIC talk, you taught about reteaching in the sense of citizens maybe not being taught well beforehand. How would you define reteaching in this type of atmosphere in terms of what happened?
Yeah, I really just kind of threw that out there. I wasn't. They're reteaching their language. They're really focusing on reteaching culture through language. I think that's an important classroom in that school that I taught at. And it's kind of other reteaching that is happening. I'm not sure how it's working. Yeah, so I can't really comment too much on any other teaching. A lot of young teachers, straight out of Teachers College, are teaching in these schools because nobody wants to teach there, and these new teachers need money. There's not that many native teachers that I discovered to be actually working in there, so you can't really learn from their own people all the time. Yeah, definitely a language is the number one thing.
One of the points that you just made in your last answer matches with what one of the audience members asked, specifically with, does Canada have specified teaching education programs that work with Aboriginal communities? At this time, do you know of anything, and is there any preparation for kind of that type of educational future?
Canada is focusing on educating the public school, children in the public school system, more about what Aboriginal education is, what Aboriginal identity is. And so most public schools will have a class that talk about the First People in Canada. So the broader population of Canada is being influenced in that way. As far as like a group of people going to these small schools, I don't think there should be. There definitely should be, but I was not trained for that. They need special training. Like I was getting trained while I was working on the job, and I needed pre-training to be managing these kids because they were going through so much stuff that I was not prepared to deal with.
On a lighter note, what would you say that you did for fun when you were in this area? Because this isn't technically your hometown, this isn't where you grew up, but what would you do when school wasn't in session?
Sometimes I played my guitar, but I didn't play my guitar as much, and I know that I wasn't having that much fun because I didn't have a great community to have fun with. So it was mostly like watching funny movies, which I didn't even do that much of, and trying to play my guitar in my spare time. So I didn't really have a really good extra kind of curricular activity, except for exercise and trying to make my first pie ever, banana cake. That was a terrible success.
Another question, what would you say is the best moment that you had with a student? So without revealing names, if you feel it's to respect their privacy, but is there a moment that you look back and say you knew that you made a difference in that student's life? Is there something that comes to your mind?
Yeah, specifically right away. The boy who I was kind of pretending to be, sitting down with him, hearing him feel so heartbroken about his family, hating to come to school because he had to be with his older brother in that classroom, hated his older brother. And I think his older brother must have been a terrible bully back at home because, yeah, he was so frustrated. And one day I just recognized that, and I could feel him hearing it. I could feel him knowing that I was listening to him. And so the listening is a really invaluable skill to share with these kids.
All right, we have time for one more question. If your question was not answered, feel free to talk with Trevor after today's GIC talk. Final question I have for you, Trevor, is specifically what did you learn from this experience that you applied while being here in Korea? What was, whether it was one thing or whether it was multiple things, what did you specifically learn?
There's multiple things, I guess. I learned to keep momentum with my instruction with the children. So if I'm moving, if I engage with something, I engage the kids, I need to keep them on that sort of track and that speed. I came out of this school with not the best momentum because I was feeling pretty sad and like feeling like I wasn't that successful. Also, definitely encouraging, celebrating the kids. I mentioned it already. Celebrating when kids show up in your classroom and just saying, you guys are so good. You're coming to school every day, and you don't look happy, but you are making me happy, and I'm going to try to make you happy. And you guys are just wonderful for all this effort. So really celebrating the kids' effort. Yeah, probably that. And I learned a bunch of creative stuff and like assessment, and so different approaches to make lessons quick, to the point, and easy for the kids to get into. And I got a really cool t-shirt. Yeah, I got this cool t-shirt too. This is something else. It's not exactly to answer your question, but yeah, I left and I got a t-shirt. Yeah, so it's kind of nice. This is from the graduating class of 2014. I was helping. There was only 4 students that graduated grade 8 because the school is very small. But yeah, they graduated and it was a big success and we had a nice celebration. And I got a t-shirt.
All right, thank you so much, Trevor. Let's give him another round of applause.